Ta-da! Hi, time for the weekly video, and I have some things that I want to discuss, so that's good. First of all, I'm not sure if it was already out last week, but you've seen the trailer, hopefully, already for Halloween Kills. I believe that's what it's called. Could be good, but then the trailer for the last Halloween was good, and that disappointed me, so I'll wait and see with that. But I did finally upgrade, so I've had this DVD for a long time. It's got the lenticular sleeve, and I might still keep hold of it for sentimental reasons. But someone was selling the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray thing for like a good price on Facebook. So I bought it. I thought I'll finally cave in, upgrade Halloween. Again, I'm not buying another 50 versions of Halloween, but it's always between that and The Thing for my favourite horror film of all time. I was allowed to stay up and watch Halloween when I was young, so it was one of the first modern horrors that I got to see. My mum had been a big fan of it, enjoyed the scares, and wanted to share that experience with me, and I've always dug it. It's pure. It's like so pure for the slasher movie subgenre. Obviously, it was a while until I saw Black Christmas, but I still much prefer Halloween, and I think it's superb. So hopefully it all goes well with the new films. I know a lot of people like the last one. We covered every Halloween movie in the podcast, I believe. Any that we didn't do last October, we had already covered in our Rob Zombie coverage. So you can always scour back and check that. Just ask if you need a direct link to those. What's next? Arrow Video just announced Volume 1 of a lovely Shaw Brothers collection. I've pre-ordered that and then have to explain what it is when it drops through the door in December. So that's going to be a good time. Quentin Tarantino has been popping up again in social media circles, trending topics, and I wanted to talk about that. So he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, we're a small podcast and we don't want to pick fights with our podcasts. We try to be very polite, not have any beef. There are room for all podcasts, for all people, and there are so many out there. We love it if you listen to us. We are, of course, happy if you listen to us and listen to lots of other people as well. But I get that everyone's kind of fighting for a spot, and there are some behemoths of the podcast medium out there, Joe Rogan being one of them. I absolutely hate Joe Rogan. I think he's an idiot who sounds intelligent most of the time because he has enough cliff notes for the conversation topics that he's going on with his guests. He's also he's actually dangerous at helping people to confuse the idea of being open-minded and perhaps impartial or unbiased, and just not contesting opinions that are absolute nonsense, drivel, founded in ignorance or ill will towards others. I don't get it. I've seen some clips. I don't get it. He's like, yeah, having conversations about, oh, what if this is the case? What if, hypothetically, the earth was flat, and how do you know, blah, blah, blah. He would kind of go along that with a guest, and I can't stand it. Here in the UK, the BBC has made that mistake many times, trying to be impartial and unbiased, and lending far too much credence to people whose views in whatever area they're discussing have no real grounding or basis in actual facts. Because we have facts, we have truths, we also have things that can be debated. We have situations that change, but we have facts and truths. And especially with the internet and how everything can go so quickly, it's important to pull people up if they're not being factual, if they're not being truthful. We've all probably had arguments with people lately where you can provide something to back up your side and you can be told by the other person that's not a reliable source, that's not good. And then they have something that is, just the same or even worse. But I digress. Apologies. Tarantino was discussing his preference for Chevy Chase over Bill Murray, which is, fine. I get his point. It was quite an interesting point that I think, paraphrasing from his point of view, Chevy Chase was happy to play characters who weren't necessarily changed for the better. And Bill Murray is a cheeky charmer who tends to be in films that work towards a happy ending. I would say that's roughly his point. But what he said was he was on about films of the 50s and 80s being affected by this growing political correctness that, spoiled a lot of movies. He's not right in that regard. I would never claim to know more about movies than Tarantino. Everyone knows the guy's a bit of a movie encyclopedia. But again, there are lots of different opinions about movies. And you couldn't categorize movies of the 80s, though, as politically correct. You had all of the teen sex comedies, including, the Porky's movies. I can't remember if they were 80s, but we did get the Lemon Popsicle films, which proved to be very popular. You had Soul Man, which is a film I still appreciate, and I've never got to bring it up on the podcast because it's very problematic. You had all sorts, even the horror films, the sort of well-intended dramas, probably all had elements, certainly a lot of them had elements that were far from politically correct. Now, I think he meant that coming certainly after the 70s, where things were getting more realistic and gritty and happy to leave things pretty downbeat, the 80s generally had films that aimed for an upbeat ending, a happy ending. That's his point. That was the main aim. They sort of moved away from the cynicism and bleakness, and we're on an upswing again. Because of the time. I think maybe in general we sort of go like that. The 80s had a lot of greed is good, and a lot of people were doing very well. We were all brainwashed by daily boppers and singing along to 99 Red Balloons, but it certainly wasn't politically correct. That's that done. I apologise if this video seems like just a rant, but it was actually more planned out than some of our other videos. Because lastly, I mentioned this on the podcast, I've reviewed it for my blog, I've discussed it with people. I really want to recommend to everyone the new Thomas Vinterberg film, Another Round. It's maybe been out your way for a while, it's maybe on streaming, no, in the UK it's having a cinema release, probably limited. Mads Mikkelsen is in it. It's fantastic. What I wanted to say to people is that I think it does a very interesting thing with the central concept, which is 4 men at a certain point in life who are friends, decide to test a theory that people are kind of going about their lives with a deficit on their blood alcohol level. So if you top that up by 0.5%, you are, in perfect balance. Winterberg used that to look at the effect of alcohol, the confidence, maybe the false confidence, the temptation to go too far, the rites of passage that are attached to alcohol. All of these things feed in, and I thought it was really well done. Why I'm bringing it up? Because it was especially important to me to see this done right, and I was a bit wary going in, as I've been teetotal for about 14 months, and everyone has a point if they are teetotal where if they want to stop, you do then keep counting, and everyone assumes that if you're teetotal, if you've made that decision, you were at work and there's whiskey in the coffee or something like that. It doesn't have to be that. It can be sort of 1 or 2 nights out that were a bit too late. It can be like 1 or 2 extra arguments that always cropped up because you had that 1 extra drink. It can be a number of things. So we tend to sometimes discuss these things on the podcast and be supportive to anyone out there who's doing that. I'm not judging anyone and saying, by the way, you shouldn't drink. You make your life choices, and there are quite a lot of people who can enjoy things in moderation and have a great time. What I wanted to say was, we are always here as well for little separate things like that, if we can be helpful or supportive. And if you are on the same path I am at the moment, which can be difficult at times, and you're wary, I would still highly recommend another round. I think it cuts into certain ideas around alcohol and its use as a social lubricant really well, really incisively. And Mads Mikkelsen, you'll hear this on the podcast at the weekend, but he's pretty much a god amongst men. Most of us will never be half the man that Mads Mikkelsen is. He's fantastic. So those were things that I wanted to talk about this week. I don't have any major new purchases coming through. I didn't want to select anything off the shelf apart from a little mention of Halloween. They are points of view. We can all have them. You're welcome to disagree with them, obviously. I hope if you do, you can comment or contact us anywhere. And if you agree, you can say hi and contact us. We try and keep the random insults to a minimum. I know how stupid and ugly I am. I do see myself on the camera, but I hope have a great weekend. Enjoy some movies. I think there's some football match on Sunday, but oh well. Good luck with whatever you're doing.